Hello guys, Oscar here, and welcome back to another Minecraft video. Now today, we're looking all at this thing right here. This is called a redstone comparator, and it's probably one of the most useful, or at least super useful redstone component, but it's also super confusing to those who don't understand it. And in this video, I'm going to cover everything there is to know about this thing. And just a little spoiler, it's not as much as a lot of people think. Now, a comparator has two main functions. And those are item detection and signal comparing, or comparation, maybe? I don't know. I'm not sure what the best word for that would be, but those are the two main functions of a comparator. Now, to detect an item from a container, you need to remember which way this arrow is pointing. Now, this arrow is really useful, and it's on a repeater as well, and that shows where this component is oriented. And same with observers as well. All three of those are oriented blocks. And you want the flat side to be either against your container or one block removed. So if we go here like this and get another chest from somewhere, right there, we can see that the comparator still detects that item. Now it only works for one block, but this is super useful in like your house, for example. You don't want to have redstone right there, so you can have it up against a wall like that. The redstone comparator can also detect items from a hopper minecart or a minecart with a chest, but as you can see here. But the only difference is you need to have them on a detector rail, otherwise it won't work. And with any other container, any of the blocks, it's just like I showed you with the chest. You just need to place them down and have the comparator directly or one block removed from that block. That was kind of a lot of words, but yeah, that's how you detect items with a comparator. Now that part over there, that's the part that most people really understand and they can understand well, and that's why the comparator is still really being used. But its bigger function, it's in the name, to compare a signal strength, that's the confusing part for most people. Now with those, you take your same comparator and you can look at it this way, and you have your main input like this, just like I showed right there, and then your two side inputs, those are the big part of this, and then your output. And what this does is it compares the signal strength between the two inputs. And if you remember, here, let me just build out a little bit. If you remember, from the source, signal strength gets less and less strong. So the closer this source is, the higher the signal strength. Now the comparator in this mode, I should mention, it will take the higher of the two signal strengths and output that. So here we have a signal strength of what would be 15, 14. So that's a 14 signal strength, signal, and then this would be a 13 because it's one more block. And you can see if we count here, it should be 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, I was right. Cool. And then yeah, so that would be that. Versus if we change this up, now we have 13 on this side and 14 on this side. So there's 13 and then 14. And if this signal strength is higher than that one, then the comparator does not give an output. And that's a super important quality for a lot of logic circuits that I'm not smart enough to understand yet. But that's sort of the way it works in this mode. It's important to remember that because, as you guys might know, this little thing can turn on and off. And that's what we'll be getting into next. I'm going to take this moment to ask you guys if you have any questions at all, no matter how stupid or silly it might seem, leave them in the comments, because that will help you so much if I can explain to you one-on-one what is confusing you. If you just sit there and don't understand, you're not going to learn. That's the first rule of learning things, is ask questions. Do it. I will answer. I'm not going to make you feel stupid, no matter the question. Don't worry about it. Just ask me the question, and if I can explain it, I will do my best. On with the video. Now this next mode is called subtract mode, and as you might infer, it subtracts things, signal strength for that matter. Now it always subtracts the side input from the main input. So here we would have a signal strength of 14 and a signal strength of 13. So 14 minus 13 is 1. So if we turn this on, you see it doesn't show 1 obviously, and that's because whatever strength this is, 14, it outputs on there, and that's another thing. I'll get to that later. But then that minus 13, signal strength of 1. That's how the subtract mode works. And it's pretty useful for this stuff like this, especially when you want to compare strengths of different containers and stuff. That could be useful. But what you really want to do is with this, probably the most useful is if you take this, you can make a really fast clock with it. And the way this works is it goes a signal strength of 15 right in here minus the signal strength of what would be 14, because it goes 15, 14, 13. And it goes on because that's on, and then it turns it off right after, as soon as it updates. And my phone just went off, ignore that. and you can see we get a really quick pulsing. And I'm not sure if this is totally 0. I think it might be a signal strength of 2 that it outputs, but I'm not totally sure. Either way, it works really great for clocks, and that's all you really need it for. And then, yeah, like I said, comparing and whatnot, there's a lot of logic, like computer stuff you can get into that I don't understand. But yeah, that's the way you can do it. And as you can see, it does not work with this one, with this mode. You have to have it in subtract mode. And that's probably the most useful thing for it, but that's how subtract mode works. Hopefully that helped a lot. And like I said, leave comments. Now, remember how I mentioned before how a comparator will output the same signal strength as it goes in? So like that would be a signal strength of 15 right there. And that's really useful because you can actually use it to make pulse extenders. If you go right here, these are all outputting a signal strength of 15 because 15 goes in here, which goes in there, which goes in there. They all go 15. There's a 15, 14, and then it goes 14 all the way through here. And then let me just, and I made a clock. Great. Hold on. And then so that'd be 14, and then it goes to 13 as soon as it goes over here, assuming it gets a pulse that goes in. And it keeps doing this, and it takes a little bit of time. I think it's 1 tick to move through all of these. So if we turn it off, you can see that pulse gets extended a really long time. And the longer this is, the longer your pulse. And I use this circuit a lot, especially as a sort of a, I don't know how to call it, maybe a softener, a dampener, but it's like a capacitor. You know, it sort of balances out, like if you have a bunch of these, turns it all into sort of one. It really helps your stabilize your circuits and increase times. You know, it's really useful. And I say that a lot, I realize. I'm going to stop saying that so much. But yeah, it is. And I don't know if I have anything else planned. Professional YouTuber moment. I need to check my notes. Don't worry, I did. I just forgot. But the thing is, with repeaters, you can actually lock a repeater with a comparator. So remember how you can do something like this, and then that'll actually lock this repeater. You can do the same thing with comparators, and I'm pretty sure they're the only other block that'll actually lock a repeater. And you can do that. You can use some logic there. You can say like this strength, if this strength is less than that strength, it'll lock the repeater and stuff like that. And but that's useful in other circuits. That's once again like really complicated stuff that takes a lot of trial and error in my case, and sometimes I can get good stuff with it, other times I can't. That's all practice, and you don't really need to worry about it, but it's kind of cool, you know. Now I can lock it with 2 blocks instead of just 1, and I'm pretty sure that's the only other block that will, or the only other component that will lock a repeater. But in the meantime, that's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you found the video really useful, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. That really does mean a lot to me, and if you haven't already, I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing. That'd mean a lot too. But in the meantime, this has been Oscar, and I will see you guys in the next one. See you later.